The Dogs absolutely dismantled Clemson in Atlanta to open the season. Another season opener in Atlanta, another dominating performance by the Dogs. And guess what? There was lots of recruits on hand for this one. That's why we're here to talk about it. And we got Rusty Mansell from Dogs HQ. He's going to be here to break it down. But first, UGA fans, jump on board and hit subscribe to the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. Number one team needs to be on the number one channel. Go ahead, hit subscribe for me. All right. Bring on the great Rusty Mansell. And before we get into Saturday, Rusty, you just put a note up on Dogs HQ. You guys can go there, read it right now, that the dead period ended, and now September 1st, it's Sunday. UGA has visitors on campus today.
Remember that saying that Kirby used in Nashville at the SEC Media Days 2 years ago, better never rest? Well, that's kind of the saying. You got a big win against Clemson on Saturday. You got a long weekend, kind of let's just chill, get ready for this game. Nope, right. They had two of their top 2026 targets on campus today, out-of-state kids. I'll go ahead and give you the name because we put it on Dogs HQ first thing this morning. Got Linton Key, 6'6", tight end out of Michigan. This is a young man they had on campus this summer. He got a chance to work out. He's only a 3-star right now, but I traded some text with Charles Power. He knows to look at him, and he's going to evaluate him as he goes. I think he is a outstanding prospect. I think he runs better than a lot of people think. He is legit 6'6". Then you go into California. Oh, by the way, Georgia had a pretty good performance yesterday from a California running back by the name of Nate Frazier. In the 26 class, they have Brian Bonner out of California, 4-star prospect. He's on campus today. The good thing that for Georgia, both of those young men got to sit in that section yesterday as recruits, and now they get to go visit Athens, get to spend some one-on-one time with Todd Hartley, Mike Bobo, all these guys on the offensive staff. They'll get a chance to spend some time. Already saw a social media post by one of their parents. They're in the stadium walking around. So, listen, better never rest. And Georgia wasted no time or no days off getting prospects on campus.
Yeah. You know, Georgia, they're laying the groundwork. That's what Georgia does. They don't become the leader when these guys are seniors. They become the leader early. And this is kind of where you don't hear a lot about it, but this is where the groundwork gets done.
Especially when you build these out-of-state relationships. And in particular, let's talk a little bit about California. If you give me 1 second. Obviously, you got Brock Bowers. You got Ernest Green, your left tackle, who people think is going to be a first-round draft pick. Then you got Nate Frazier. The state of California had Kibble Milton last year. The state of California has been really good to Georgia. They're going to continue to go coast to coast, and they're making a footprint in that state, going in and winning some big battles. This might be another one in the 2026 class. We'll see how this visit goes and kind of where this young man is at running back after this visit.
Hey, they got to. Alabama's been tapping California,
for
so
years.
Why not Georgia, right?
No doubt about it.
All right, so let's take it back to Saturday. What was it like being down? I know, hey, there's levels to atmospheres, right? We're not in Athens. We know what's going to happen in Athens. We got the whole season to have great visit weekends and great atmospheres there. But what was it like for recruits to be in Atlanta for that season opener for Georgia Clemson?
I think Georgia spoke for itself. We talked about this on Inside Scoop last week. As a neutral site game, you can't physically visit with them. You can't have them on the sideline before the game. You can't visit with their parents after the game. So the best thing that Georgia can do is have those recruits watch and say, this is how we're going to use you. You watch this today. And I think that atmosphere, I've been in that Mercedes-Benz building a long time, Josh, many, many games. It's one of the best facilities in the world. When that thing is rocking, man, it is loud. I've been in there when Alabama's been rocking. I've been in there when Georgia's been rocking. I mean, that place is really go. And I guarantee you yesterday, we got some recruit reaction up. You go to Dogs HQ, Jeremy Johnson, Steve Wiltfong, Jake Cruz, all of us have got some reaction. I think the one thing that stood out, I'll say this, kind of the common theme among these recruits was, wow, how many freshmen Georgia played yesterday? And don't think for 1 minute, when they were riding those buses back to Athens yesterday, those coaches weren't texting going, you know what? I told you we're going to play some young guys. So Georgia gets negative recruited a lot. This is one of the things. If you go there, you're going to have to sit. You're not going to play. I guarantee you yesterday, they were in those DMs going, we told you we played the best here, and you're going to get a chance to play early if you're that guy.
All right, one name of a prospect that was not there is Usman Kromah. This was a real intriguing name heading in because he's one of the best running backs in the state of Georgia. At certain points of this recruitment, it felt like the Dogs were heavily involved. It felt like Florida State led. It feels like now that Auburn leads. He ends up showing up at Auburn this week, and he was not in Atlanta. What does this mean for Usman Kromah in Georgia? Do you think we'll see him back in Athens soon?
Well, they got a game this week against Tennessee Tech, and that's 2:00, and no no offense to them, that's not going to be a game a lot of recruits are going to travel 4 or 5 hours to get to. So they don't have a home game until October the 5th against Auburn. Then they have Mississippi State. So, you kind of look at that. Steve Wilfong and Chad Simmons, two of the best in the business, period. There's a lot of momentum with Auburn right now as we filmed this. He was on campus yesterday. So, if he were to commit to Auburn anytime soon, I know both of those made a prediction for on 3 for Auburn. So it tells you there's a lot of smoke behind the scenes that Auburn's made a big move here. I'll say this in confidence. If he does commit to Auburn, verbally commit, Georgia's not going to give up on him. They're going to continue to recruit him. They're going to continue to say, look at Nate Frazier, look at our freshman running back. This is a guy we plan early. You can do this as well. So we'll see how things go, but sounds like the Tigers got a lot of momentum with him right now.
All right, another guy we got to hit on is Chase Linton. He came off that Rutgers decommitment. He made that official on August 17th. So he was at the Georgia-Clemson game. How big of a priority is he now that he's back on the market, and who else is involved in this recruitment?
Listen, I would be shocked if he's not in a Georgia commit list before this one's over with. I mean, this is a guy they have targeted. This is a guy they worked out, and I will tell you, he's done it for me. Was I blown away the first time I ever saw him? Not really. He kept getting better. He kept getting bigger. And then the more I found out about him, I was like, wait a minute, this guy's got a chance. And by the time that spring rolled around, he was kind of that guy. He goes to Georgia, I think, on May 31st, their huge camp, has a really good performance. He's a lot longer in person than Georgia thought. They kind of kept him like, wait a minute, this guy's got to be on our board. As things unfolded this summer, he became more of a priority. And then the last weekend of July, they kind of got him up there and from what I understand, worked him out again. And they offered it. And listen, Josh, I don't know who else is involved because this is a very quiet young man. He's handled this thing, I think, really well behind the scenes. And he and his mother. And I say this, I will be surprised if he doesn't end up a Georgia Bulldog at some point. He's going to be back on campus. He might be back on campus this weekend. That'll be one to watch. He's going to take an official. So my guess would be either Auburn or Mississippi State. I think this one's over with by the end of October. Just my guess. I'll be surprised if he's not a Georgia Bulldog. They love him. 6'4", like an 81-inch wingspan, crazy length on him. In-state kid, high academic, checks boxes for this Georgia Bulldog staff.
All right. Well, how about another prospect that I could see Georgia maybe doubling back on? I'm talking FSU defensive line commitment, Kevin Wynn. He's from Greensboro, Georgia.
Big Georgia town.
And Florida State came in, and maybe when Kevin Wynn's stock wasn't so high, they went in and they landed a commitment. He's now the number 8 ranked defensive lineman in America. And he quietly was attending this game. I know it hasn't made many major headlines, but it seems like he's a priority flip target for Georgia, and they got him to campus that first game. Is it significant?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they haven't given up on him at all. I don't use the word double back. I don't think Georgia ever quit on him. Even though he verbally committed, I talk about the KJ Bolden because he was very open. He said, man, I committed to Florida State. He said the next morning I was on the phone with Kirby Smart. Kevin Wynn is from a massive Georgia town in Greensboro, Georgia, right there on the lake. Nice area. There's a ton of Georgia fans there. I can assure you there's so many people in his ear. Kudos to him and kudos to Florida State right now for having him. And can they hold on to it? We'll see how this thing goes. But Georgia's not giving up on Kevin Wynn. He's a priority in-state defensive lineman. There's only so many of these body types that go around. So you know why Florida State, Georgia, everybody was on him, Alabama as well. So listen, there's one of those things I say, you don't get these kind of easy. Georgia's going to continue to recruit him. Florida State's done a good job. We'll see if they get him back on campus. Georgia, in my opinion, will have him on campus a couple of times this fall. We'll see how this thing unfolds. But he is definitely a continued priority for Georgia staff and Georgia defensive line coach Trey Scott.
All right, so Georgia fans, they're watching this. They're enjoying the big win over Clemson. It's always fun to go beat Clemson at a neutral site stadium and all that, but the real fun to be had is in Athens. We all know that. Home opener this weekend. Should we expect a big visit list, or when can fans expect that big visit weekend in Athens?
In my experience for a game like this, you're going to see a lot of the younger prospects, a lot of kids that are probably freshmen and sophomores making their first kind of, quote, big-time visits to a school. It's Tennessee Tech. It's a 2:00 start. It's going to be a little crispy at 2:00, Josh. And they'll have enough. They'll probably have a lot of their verbal commits there. But I can tell you this: they play at Kentucky, then they have a bye week, then they play at Alabama. So it's going to be a while before they get back in Athens. But they have back-to-back home games of Auburn and Mississippi State on October the 5th and October 12th. And I can guarantee you, you're going to have me on Inside Scoop. I'm going to be on previewing it, and I'm going to be on doing a follow-up. And I love that with you, but I don't expect this to be a huge list. They'll probably have one or two guys that's still enough travel time. So we'll have you covered on Dogs HQ. But as you move forward in the season, that back-to-back Auburn and Mississippi State weekends, I think Georgia's going to try to host a lot of people, because don't forget now, and Kirby's smart to tell you, they lose a home game going to Jacksonville. So those games become even more priority. I'll tell you this, as you look down the list, you could imagine a late November game with Tennessee and Knoxville, most likely probably a night game. That's going to be a very, very who's who kind of list as well.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that one. But this weekend, hey, great start. Dog fans, talk to us.
Hey, let me give you one more. Justice Terry and Elijah Griffin both made it, confirmed. Are they going to talk? Probably not. But what does it say for Georgia? Continue. And what does our old buddy Barton Simmons used to say, Josh?
Follow the business.
All right, Dog fans, talk to us. What does it mean to you guys, this first win and all this recruiting intel? Talk to me in Rusty, comment section below. Dogs HQ, it's jumping. Rusty, thanks for stopping by the Inside Scoop today.
Appreciate you, Josh.
Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.